Hello, hello, my loves. Welcome. This is going to be a video talking about that weird time where it's not quite summer, not quite Halloween, but you already want to get into the Halloween season, but you are still trying to honor the summer season because the weather is so hot. So these decks that I selected, I get the feeling of that in between. It's not quite summer, not quite Halloween, but it's going to give you the vibe that you are entering into that fall season, even though it is still 100 degrees outside. So if you are curious to see what my deck picks are for this beautiful time of year, please keep watching. So let's start off with the tarot card. I want to get the Rider-Waites out of the way. I always like to select at least one or two Rider-Waites just in case I don't feel inspired by anything else. So one of them is the tarot deck. It is one of those Amazon Rider-Waites that you find, like those random ones. And the reason why I picked this one, not only because the box itself is like this mustard yellow, but the cards have a very vintage, almost like a tea-stained look to them. The colors in this deck are more like a vintage feel. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the original Rider-Waite, like how those tea-stained, the skies are more of a greenish color rather than that like bright blue. So I really like the way this looks. I feel like it just kind of gives off that fall kind of feel, but it's also kind of golden, like with the yellows. And I think that that really helps for the summer vibe, because summer season, I like to kind of bring out more of my yellow toned or gold decks. The other one that I picked for Rider-Waite is the golden one. So this one is that gorgeous gold, just super plastic. It's like one of those waterproof plastic decks. And I just love the way, I love the way that they shine. They're really pretty cards. They go with just about any deck. I think gold just really looks really nice in summer themed readings pretty much. But then when you look at gold too, to me, gold kind of is a nice transition color also from the hot, flashy summers to the fall, you know, more of those more muted tones. So really cool decks. So those are the Rider-Waites. Those are the only two that I'm going to show you guys. So I have the Pagan Otherworlds. This deck is so gorgeous. The Pagan Otherworlds is something else. It has a very unique style. It just reminds me of a very vintage kind of a tarot deck. It's very soft. It's very easy to read. It has like kind of pippish minor arcana, but it really works. So I love it. I think that it's also one of those decks where, and it also has the moon phases too. I think it's just one of those decks that will pair really well with the right oracle. But I specifically chose this one because of the color scheme in the cards. They're soft. They're just a very quiet kind of an energy. And that's really what I look into when I look at more fall themed, at least to an extent. The other one is the Marigold Tarot. Again, it's just kind of like with that gold feel. It just really works. So these are the card backs. They're so beautiful. You have the marigold card backs. You have the gold gilding on them. And yeah, it's like skeletons and whatnot. But it's a softer way. It's not super, super Halloween-y skeletons, if that makes sense. So I really think that a deck like this would be very... I love the sunflowers. That's just like perfect. That is like that in between of the summer and fall. I think a deck like this would work really, really well with the right oracle deck. This one will be fun to kind of pull out. I'm not sure. I feel like I have to have the right client when I use something like this, a deck like this. So we will see what happens in the next month and a half. But yeah, the Marigold Tarot is definitely one of those precious decks that I forget about, to be honest. Like, I forget I have it until usually like this time of year. And then when I bring it out, it's like, wow, how come I haven't worked with this throughout the rest of the year, you know? The Macabre Tarot. So this one also has it starts to go into more of a Halloween-y feel, but it's a little bit soft, if that makes sense. So open the deck. So this one again is also similar to the Marigold in the color scheme, at least. You have the black backs, you have the skeletons, and there's bats and moths and snakes. And then you have the gold sides, and then you have like white and black background. So I really love that color scheme. And again, the gold just kind of gives me that feel for that transition of summer into fall. But the reason why I picked this one is even though it has like the devil, even though it has skeletons and whatnot, it could kind of, you know, I guess it does have like that Halloween-y feel, but it's not like the orange and black, you know, it's different. So I think that the colors of the cards kind of make it feel a little bit less Halloween and more of, yeah, it's a spooky deck. It's a dark themed deck, but it's not necessarily jack-o'-lanterns and ghosts, you know. I haven't really worked with this one much, which is another reason why I pulled it out, because I want to really give it a chance and see how it feels before I, you know, make a decision whether I want to keep it in my collection or not. But now that I look at the cards, they're actually really sweet. So I think it'll be a good one. So that is the Macabre Tarot. Okay. While we're kind of on the topic of like semi-Halloween-y, another one I think will be a fun fit is the Dark Wood Tarot. I don't know why I wasn't called to her before. I think it's kind of the card backs. I'm not really a fan of the backs. I'm not really a fan of the art style, but I think it'll work. So this deck gives me the feel of walking through a haunted forest. You're just kind of on this little journey. You meet werewolves and you're meeting like tree creatures. So you're just walking through a forest of hauntings. And it just has a very different essence to it. Again, it's not skeletons and pumpkins. It's not like that typical Halloween, you know, Halloween thing. So you can get away with using a deck like this any time of the year. So I do think this is like one of those perfect decks for the transition of summer into fall. I love spooky trees. I like when the trees have faces. That's so cute. So yeah, I'm actually really glad that I didn't go through with rehoming this deck. I love the Eight of Swords. Look at that. I'm actually really glad that I didn't. So we will see. I think that this one will be fun. The Dark Wood Tarot. This deck is by far probably my most favorite one to choose for this whole, you know, this theme. And that is the Crow Tarot. I bought this deck a few years back and I have a very soft spot for crows. I just love them. The card backs are beautiful. They look like little feathers. And it's just a deck, a tarot deck of crows. And there's no people in it. It's just animals. So you have this beautiful art style. Whoops, it's upside down. You have this beautiful art style, which like kind of reminds me, well, I guess it doesn't when you look at it up close, but I always think it looks like Van Gogh. I don't know, but it has a beautiful feel to it and the colors are really pretty. I love that the cards are rather large. I do believe they're a little bit larger than your typical Rider-Waite and you just get more out of the picture. So, and they do follow the Rider-Waite style. Most of these tarot decks that I picked do. So that is kind of nice, especially if you're like me and you're very comfortable with Rider-Waite. Something like this, you know, it's not that difficult to transition into. I could show you guys these cards. Look at this two of swords. I could look at these cards all day. So I definitely feel like the crows are just a really good animal to work with during this time of year. And I think this deck is so cute. And I actually have its sister deck, the Oracle one, to show you guys after. So these last 3 tarot decks, I'm actually quite surprised that I added them to my collection. And the reason being is because I am not a very big Disney person. I am not a Disney fan. Ever since as I got older, it's just not my thing. There are some Disney movies that I do love, so The Little Mermaid being one of them, and The Nightmare Before Christmas being another. So I was like super against getting this deck because, you know, like I said, I'm not a Disney fan, and I just didn't want to, you know, I just didn't feel like I needed it. And then I got it and I love it. I fell in love with it. So you can't judge a book by its cover. So the card backs, first off, are so beautiful. You have this purple design. I love the card stock. I know that this isn't a fan. Like, a lot of people don't like the card stock with these decks. I don't know. I like it. I love, it's kind of thick, but you could shuffle it really well. It has like a very satiny feel, but it's also matte. And yeah, the only thing I guess is like a big complaint with a lot of people is the pips. It's heavy on the pips. But I actually think, especially for like people who are, you know, how do I say it without sounding like horrible? If you've read tarot long enough, you really don't, it doesn't really matter if it's a pip deck or not, because you already know the cards. And half the time you're not really going based off of the guidebook meaning. You're just going based off of how you feel. So, so that said, pip decks don't really bother me as long as I love everything else about it. I don't know. There's just something about the way it looks and the art style. I love it. I think it's super cute. It's simple. Maybe that's another reason. And I think it'll be a fun transition deck. So I'm actually quite surprised. I laugh at myself because, like I said, I was so against adding it, and then here I am loving it. So definitely going to enjoy working with this one. Another one that I added was the Hocus Pocus Tarot. I will say the pip decks on this one are a little bit more disappointing versus the Nightmare Before Christmas. I think the pips on this one are a little bit kind of like they really got lazy. I love the card backs, same card stock and everything. The colors, everything about the cards are beautiful. And I like that it's witches. So I just needed another witchy deck. I was really looking for, let me see if I could show you. Yeah, so here's like some of the pips. The 2 of Candles, the 3 of Candles. See, that's not that bad. It's actually kind of pretty. The 4 of Candles, like this one was kind of like, that kind of fell flat for me. You see what I mean? Like, it's like just candles. So I do feel like they did get a little bit lazy, but I don't have enough witch decks. And I was surprised. You would think I would have more, right? But I don't. So when I saw this one, obviously while I was ordering this one, the other ones came up and I'm like, let's just get it. It looks cute. Let's just see. So I think this will be a fun little one to work with throughout the season and obviously into Halloween. So those are all of the tarot cards that I picked out. Let's go ahead and dive into the Oracle decks. Okay, my loves. So now let's get into the Oracle decks. I don't have as many. I was surprised. I didn't pull as many as the tarot. When I look at so when I'm like picking out Oracle decks that I want to work with for a certain season or theme, I try to pull something with animals, something with plants, something earthy, something airy. I try to like do all of them. But I'll just kind of show you what I got. So the Woodland Wardens, this was my animal selection. I think that this deck is perfect for fall. I think it's also perfect for any kind of season, to be honest. But I love the way this looks. So it has these gorgeous dark green card backs with the little flowers. And the color scheme in this is like a vintage, tea-stained, muted. I don't know. It's just really soft. And you have, oh my gosh, you have the, what is this? The crow. You have an animal paired with an herb. So I just like that. I think that that was really clever when they created this. And the guidebook is just really amazing. Look at the moth. And it's the death moth. Oh, so yeah, I just feel like you get the right animals in this deck for something going into that transition of fall. I don't know. This one just gives me that feel of fall. The Earth and Bone Oracle. Now, this one is a beautiful deck. It will definitely be staying out throughout the Halloween season. This is too beautiful. It's very, very dark, meaning like the color scheme is super dark. So sometimes it's a little bit hard to see the pictures. Like you have to have good lighting. So you might not get the, well, I guess it kind of shows up good on the camera. But it's a very dark, just a spooky deck. Creepy kind of. But it's also gentle and soft at the same time, if that makes sense. And it's not like that Halloween-y kind of a card deck. So you could get away with using it any time of the year, to be honest. I really love, oh my gosh, look at this. She's hugging the wolves. Skeleton girl is hugging the wolves. So I think that something like this is like an all throughout the year kind of a deck, because it doesn't have like that, you know, jack-o'-lantern orange and black color scheme. You know what I mean? The guidebook is really good. You get a lot of powerful readings from it. I would definitely say this is a more of a spiritual journey kind of or a healing or a shadow work kind of a deck. I also pulled out the Wild Woman Oracle kind of because it's that rose gold colors, and also I wanted something earthy. So this is like my deck pick for earthy. And I think it just looks really nice. Like just the way that the cards are, the backs are black. Then you have the pop of white and the rose gold. It's just a really pretty deck. You have rose gold foil cards. Like it just has a feel to it that looks like I wouldn't pull this out for like super springy readings, you know? Like this is a, to me, a shadow work deck. This is a fall vibes going into that shadow period. So I picked this one for that reason. I also really like that it is spiritual and healing based. It's a lot of like, it really just makes you think. This is one of those decks that pull a journal to go along with it and do some, you know, inner work. And I feel like a lot of those types of questions or those types of readings really start to come through toward the end of the year. So that's my pick for that. A plant deck that I wanted to pick out, I chose the Herbal Tea Magic for the Modern Witch. This little deck is so good, you guys. I found it at random when I was at Barnes & Noble, and it is the cutest deck. It's a really pretty deck. So if you love herbs, if you love plants and flowers, then you'll really like this one. Look at how pretty the backs are. So gentle and just the right pop of color. You have the plant. You have a little blurb about it. It's simple. It gives you enough keywords to get enough, you know, for a reading. But you could also pull out the guidebook and it works just as well. But look at how beautiful these are. So they're like simple and bright, but the cards themselves, like the background, has kind of like a tan. It's like a very faded tan, I don't know, background to it. It kind of gives me that like more fall feel. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just love it. So the perfect little plant deck to add to this kind of vibe. And I also thought it would also pair well, like it would look really well with browns, golds. I don't know. I always think about that too, like the look of the cards. They all fit. Okay. So here's another Oracle deck that surprised me. This was a random pick from Amazon. This is the Voice of the Souls Oracle. If you are a medium or a developing medium, I do recommend this deck. It's actually really, really good to help with your spirit messages. If you like to do spirit guide readings, I think this would be a fun deck to use as well. It really goes into the connection of your higher self as if like spirit was talking to you. But it has a really fun, especially like the guidebook, you have to use the guidebook, but it has a really fun feel to it. It almost like puts me to tears when I use it. So the look of this deck, absolutely gorgeous. You have these like mustardy gold card backs with the black and the off, it's like a cream colored white. Beautiful. So again, thinking about aesthetic wise and like the way everything looks, this just gave me that feel of that transition of summery, gold summery to fall, right? The backs have like this cream, like I said, it's like a creamy off-white, and everything is simple. The artwork is simple about it. It's beautiful. Some of the cards are black. So it's just powerful. So if you're a practicing medium, if you are, if you do readings about spirit messages or spirit guide messages, I definitely recommend this deck. I think you would be quite surprised. I was pleasantly surprised when I started working with it. So that is the Voice of the Souls Oracle. So this is the Urban Crow Oracle. And obviously no brainer, it's crows, and I thought perfect. It is the perfect essence to add to my summer/fall feel. I love the card backs in this deck, you guys. They're so pretty. Oh, look at those colors. Just those like mustard yellows and that green and the black. It just looks so beautiful. Art style is very similar or almost the same. Actually, it is the same as the Crow Tarot. And it works really, really well together. The guidebook is really, really good. So yeah, if you love crows or if you like to work with crows, you should have this in your collection. It should be in your collection. Look at how beautiful. So yeah. The Urban Crow Oracle. This next one has a lot of little pieces to it. So this is the Memento Mori Oracle. Oh my gosh, there's just something about this art style. I freaking love it. So the Memento Mori Oracle, you have like the original, the Oracle, right? And then the creator created like all of these like expansion packs. So like all of these like additional pieces that you can use along with the original Oracle. So I have the Oracle, right? Look at how gorgeous those backs are. The little skull and crossbones. It is that anatomical, is that the right word? Anatomical, like skeletons and flowers, body parts and flowers. Like it's just, oh my gosh. And it's just like the theme of death. It's the theme of death and life with the flowers. It's absolutely beautiful. It's very simple. This is meant to be read as like similar to like a Lenormand deck, but you could also use it as an oracle. It's very clever the way she created it. So you have that, and then she has her expansion packs, which are extras. So this one is the timing expansion pack, which each card is a certain time frame. So it's like the seasons, months of the year, days, that kind of thing, because people use this deck. She teaches you how to use it for seances or like spirit readings or messages like that. So it's actually really cool. I've practiced with it a little bit, but it is definitely a fun one to use. I right now pretty much use it just for readings, but I'm really curious to try out her seance kind of essence, her seance style. She has a book too. So she has the timing expansion pack. She has the Memento Mori Ancestors and Advisors pack. So you have ancestors, family members. She has the General Expansion Pack number 2. And then this is the General Expansion Pack. So this was probably the first one that she came out with. And then she came out with the second one. And then she came out with the Ancestors and the Times. So it's a fun, it's literally a fun deck. I have contemplated literally, because all of the card backs are the same for all of them. So I've contemplated just creating this huge, thick deck. But I don't know where I would put it. And I kind of like having everything separated if I, don't want to use all those extras. So yeah, it's a fun one. So Memento Mori Oracle. And last but not least, my love, is the beautiful Seasons of the Witch, the Mabon Oracle. I have the Samhain deck, but obviously I only bring that one out for October. But this is the new one. So they came out with the Mabon. And oh my God, this one is beautiful. So fall, the crisp oranges. Look at these card backs. You have the crows on them, orange card. Oh, look at how beautiful. Oh my God. And of course, if you know the Seasons of the Witch decks, you know how they work. You know how they read, you know how this goes. The guidebook is so good. But the cards, the artwork, it just never ceases to amaze me. It's like just constant, beautiful imagery, and the guidebook messages are so powerful. And I just cannot wait to use this one more. I started using it already in readings, and I just love the messages that come through. I love that this one is completely dedicated to the fall season. So you really get that essence of, fall in this deck. I know it's not quite that transition from summer, but sometimes you just got to escape the 100-degree weather and give yourself a fall feel. Like, I don't know. I'm not a summer girl. I don't like the summer. So anytime I can bring in, look at that cute little owl. Anytime that I could escape and bring in a fall themed deck, I'm reading horror right now because I just want to get into the essence of it. I will do it just to get me away from the 100-degree weather. So anyways, my loves, that concludes all of my deck picks. What do you think? Do you like them? Do you have any of these? Hopefully I gave you some ideas for some new decks you can add in your collection. But yeah, I thought that was just a fun little treat that I wanted to give to you guys. I hope you guys are doing well, and I will see you guys in my next video. I'll talk to you guys soon.